Today we're going to be talking with Kimberly Dixon.
Kimberly Dixon is a motivational speaker, an author of several books, a life coach, and a survivor. She has an amazing story, and we're going to try and see if we can get her on the phone.
Hello.
Hi, Kimberly. This is Kelvin Gervais.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm magnificent. Listen, I'm close by you, and I would like to pick you up to see if you could drive while black with me.
Oh, yes, sir. I definitely can.
Well, I'll be to you shortly.
All right, great.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Let's go get Kimberly.
How
Hello,
are you?
Kimberly.
Hi.
I'm magnificent. Speak to everybody.
Hi, everybody. How are you all today?
Tell everybody your name and what it is you do.
Okay, I'm Kimberly Dixon. My business is Joyful Living with Kimberly Dixon. I am a life coach, a speaker, and an author. As a life coach, I specialize in coaching people who have chronic pain or chronic illnesses because of my own journey with pain.
But I don't really hear a lot of, chronically pain like support.
You don't, and that's exactly why I started doing it, because in my 30s, the bottom fell out of my life.
What do you mean by
that? And I was diagnosed with arthritis when I was 12 years old. And arthritis is a progressive disease, so it gets worse with time. So I found myself as a 35-year-old woman, new to Raleigh, no husband, no kids, and I was in a tremendous amount of pain. I could barely stand or walk. And I was going back and forth to the doctor. I knew I needed my knees replaced, and there was nothing else he could do for me. And I'm like, why am I going to see him? He's done all he could do. But it wasn't until later that I realized, Kelvin, that I wanted him to fix my broken heart.
Say more about that.
You know, we as people, when you go to the doctor, they are treating your physical ailments.
Indeed.
But we are whole being. We are part physical, we are part spiritual, and we are part emotional or psychological.
Right.
But the medical professional is only treating one aspect of that, as he should. That's what he's trained to do. But when you're in a position that, of that nature, pain affects all aspects of your life. So I found myself just sad and brokenhearted, and I'm going back and forth to him and never realizing that what I wanted him to do, he couldn't do. So that's why I started catering to people who have, specifically who have chronic illnesses, because that's not being addressed anywhere.
So let me ask you, what did it take for you to discover that? How did you discover that it wasn't necessarily a direct medical issue?
Well, it was through my own spiritual walk, and through doing different meditation practices myself, because I started doing deep breathing just as a way to cope with the pain on my own. But just through this, I began to grow, and I'm like, wait a minute. And I began to change, and I felt this shift in me. I was like, what has happened? And I was like, oh my God, I didn't need him to fix me physically. I wanted him to do something with the pain that I was feeling emotionally.
From this situation, you produced a book?
Well, first thing I did was, and this was in 2012, I started writing on my blog. I wasn't even a life coach at that time. Okay. I just started writing on my blog I created a blog and started writing on it, because over the years I learned a tremendous amount of things about how to treat pain through alternative and complementary, because I don't think that it's Western or Eastern medicine, it's both. Because they can be used in conjunction to make sure that you have a more fulfilling and satisfying life. Because, you know, sometimes in life, of course, you know, we pray that God is going to take this from us, but what do we do if he's not going to take it away? And if it's part of your path?
Right.
It's like, so you need some ways in which to deal with that, because God had already told me, okay, my plan for you is you got to go through this so that you can help other people. But if I didn't have the experience, I can't help you. That's just like me going and trying to tell a woman about having a baby and I ain't pushed out damn baby.
Right.
I can't do it. So I would use my deep breathing. I would use meditation. Of course, you know, I was using the medication that I needed from the Western medicine as well. But I used all of those things together so that I could just get to the point to where I am, where I am now. Because some days it wasn't I need to get to the end of the day. It was I need to get through this second. I need to get through this minute. God, what am I gonna do? So, yeah, I used all of those things, and it could seem like overboard, but I was determined that I wasn't gonna succumb to the pain. Because you're like, you can be bitter, sad, angry, a whole range of emotions. I didn't want that to be my story.
So you chose a book to tell your story.
Yes. Well, first I did some self-help books that were geared towards chronic pain sufferers. I self-published those. But this past year, I worked with a Noah's Ark Publishing out of LA to write my memoir. And in that, I tell my complete story, because some people know a part of my journey with chronic pain and then the knee issues and the arthritis, but that's just a fraction of my story.
So what do you mean with the knee issues?
Well, because I was so bow-legged, you know, I developed arthritis when I was 12, so I had that whole history. And people are in my immediate circle, they knew about that, but they didn't know I was dealing with other emotional and psychological pain that from my growing up in a household where we were neglected.
I understand.
You know, my parents divorcing at a young age, and you know, just dealing with the loss of my brothers. My sister and I live with my mom, but my brothers went to live with my dad. And here I am, the baby girl in the bunch. I'm a daddy's girl, and I'm a baby sister to my heart to this day. So within a couple of months' time, I lost every male that I loved. So, and I didn't realize until I was writing the book how deeply that hurt me. So in the book, which the name of my book is Can These Bones Live Again? Walking Through the Eyes of the Broken.
Please tell me you bought a copy.
I did, just so you all can see. Push that up
so they can see that. Perfect.
It's available on Amazon.com, and we'll be doing the release of it here in Raleigh on April the 14th. Okay. But in the book, I talk about a multitude of things that happened to me throughout my young adult life, as a child, a teenager, in my 20s. Because here I am as a 47-year-old woman, and I talk about this in the introduction. We look good on the outside. We're pretty. Right. It's like, but we are weighed down with all the secrets and all the things that have happened to us in our life. And it was like, so now we're walking around wounded. And this goes from, and this book is not just for women, it's for men and women. Right. Because the things that we go through, they have a tremendous impact on us, and can for our rest of our life if we don't ever address them.
That's right, and that's and that would you as a because I'm going to call you a professional.
I am a professional.
Yeah, and I feel that. But would you say that's the majority of the problem that you've encountered is because we won't address them? Not that we can't, you know, get over it and not get over it, but you know, we can't move past to grow.
We don't ever address it.
Because we haven't addressed it.
Yeah. It's part of our culture. We've always been taught, you know, one, we're strong. And one, we don't see therapists, we don't see psychologists.
Indeed.
And two, we don't tell nobody what's going on in this house.
In the household, that I was just thinking that when you said that. That's always what you're told as a black child.
Yeah. And it was, but what that does is creates a secrecy mentality. So now when things that go wrong that you need to talk to somebody about, you can't. It's like it's not even a part of who you are. It was like it's not part of your makeup.
You're exactly right.
It's like, how do I even begin this conversation when nobody has ever said anything? How do you tell somebody you're hurting and your heart is breaking, it's aching? You don't even recognize it, number one. That's what's going on with you. It's like the outburst that you're having, the your abandonment issues and all of these things. We don't recognize them for that, but it all leads back to these things, these secrets that we've been keeping. Just, I'd say we fill it up to the gills, but we just been packing it in over time. And now one day we either bitter old women or we angry old men.
it's always a lot of secrets.
Yeah.
You know, and especially when you're dealing with family and dealing within the family, and especially with parents.
Yeah.
And parents are very touchy situations.
Yes, they are.
And you never, because of your love for your parents, you know, you never want anybody else to look at them in a different light.
Right.
So you hold back a lot of the things, and it goes back to, you know, what you were speaking on about what happens in this house stays in this house.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how it is. It's like, because of my love for you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to tell anybody that you don't cook.
Right.
I'm not going to tell anybody that our lights have been off for 4 weeks. I'm not going to tell anybody that you don't pay any attention to me, and so I have to seek it from the other members of the community who may not be doing as positive things as you are.
Right.
But they're going to accept me.
Right.
They're going to listen to me.
Exactly.
And things like that lead to so many
different avenues and paths that, I mean, just from, you know, our promiscuousness and our getting in associations with gangs. We're looking for family. We're looking for love. We're just looking for, we're seeking that attention, that somebody's just going to accept us for who we are.
Right.
Now, I said I was a daddy's girl, and my mom and I were not really that close. And I love her tremendously, and I love her immensely. So what I did was, before I wrote the first word of this book, I called my mom. And I talked to her, and I was like, look, I'm getting ready to write this book. I was like, but this book is not about you. And I was like, I love you, and I would never do anything to hurt you intentionally. I was like, but your name's going to, I'm telling my story, and you are a part of my story. So your name's going to come up. And she asked me a few questions about it, and I was like, but I need you to know this isn't about hurting you. This isn't about revenge. This is about setting me free. I was like, because there's some things that I've been holding on to. I was like, that, you know, I'm almost 50 years old, and there are these things that are still just in the back of my mind, that when something's not going right, that's what pops up. I was like, but if I don't ever address this, who will? And then what happens is, you know, I don't address these. Well, next, guess what? I don't have any children, but you know, I'm very involved. I'm involved in my nieces and nephews' line. So if I don't fix this in this generation, we continue to pass it on decade after decade, and we keep bringing up generation after generation of broken people.
That's right. And it might not be a situation to where they're able to come to terms of why they feel like that, like you were. That might not get passed on.
Right, it may not. It's like, so I intentionally spend time talking with my nieces and nephews, and anybody in my family anybody really, not even my family, because all y'all my family. I love people.
That's right.
I love people. I love all of God's people, and that doesn't matter who you are.
That's right.
And it's like, it could be you or the homeless man on the street. I got love for you.
That's right. That's right.
It's like, but I just want to for us to be able to be whole. It's like, granted, I can't do it as one person in one day or 1 year or whatever, but I believe that you know, people tell you one person can't change the world. I don't believe that.
Yeah. So tell me more about this book.
So in the book, I'll take you from essentially from my childhood, from being a toddler. Well, the issues with my legs started out, I was born so bow-legged that I couldn't walk. Every time I would take a few steps, I fell. So I talk a lot about what really being bow-legged meant to me.
Because a lot of girls think it's cute.
It is cute. I don't know what you're talking about.
A lot of y'all think
it is cute.
It's not cute if it's a health problem.
I had some swagger now.
I heard that.
But it was like,
Go ahead.
It has an impact because not to, you know, a little bit bow-legged is not so much of an issue, but the extent, I meant to bring that picture, the extent to which I was bow-legged, it causes a real issue. And so I wore braces as a toddler, cast as a toddler. I didn't learn to walk and run like a normal baby does till I was about 2.5 to 3 because I couldn't. Every few steps I fell. So they put me in straight leg cast, and I was able to learn to run and to walk. My family members, they still talk about seeing me run with straight leg cast on. I would get out there and run with the other kids. But I also talk about, you know, my parents' separation and, you know, what that meant to me when my brothers left. I talk about a sexual assault that I experienced when I was 20. Let's say I talk.
I'm sorry for that, sister.
No, it's like, you know, this is the one thing I have learned. I've gone through some traumatic things in my life, but all of those things built me into the person who I am today. And that's somebody who is unshakable. It's like I have a foundation that's firm, and I don't want anybody to have to go through the things that I did, because even the stress of my parents' separation and the anxiety about being a teenager with arthritis, don't nobody want that. Like, my knees hurt, I don't want to go to the mall. You don't want to tell nobody that.
Right.
So it's like I didn't tell anybody I was in pain, so that was that secret I was keeping. Well, when my parents separated, the night we left, I started wetting the bed. I had stopped wetting the bed as a child. But then I started back, and I didn't stop again until I was 19.
Wow.
Because of the stress I was under at home.
Is this the book you say you self-published?
No, this is the one. Not this. This is not the one I self-published. The
Okay.
self-published one is called the Now What series.
Okay.
And there are 3 titles in that. Is I have arthritis. Now what? Ways to manage arthritis pain.
Okay.
So that talks about medical intervention, as well as things you can do as far as food and herbs, essential oils, and things of that nature that can be used for pain management. Then the second one in that series is I need a knee replacement. Now what? How to prepare for knee replacement surgery. Because, you know, I had 11 surgeries by the time all of this was over with.
11 surgeries.
11 surgeries.
Go ahead, sister.
So I walked them through the preparation, because I learned that with a lot of my surgeries, I thought I was prepared, but I wasn't. Not financially, so not even emotionally and spiritually, but I wasn't financially prepared. So I went into one surgery with the anticipation of being out of work 3 days. I was out of work 8 weeks. And then I was told I wouldn't need physical therapy. I needed therapy 3 days a week. So do you know what kind of financial impact that had?
Imagine.
So in that book, you know, I talk about, one, how to deal with the fear and anxiety that comes along with having total knee replacement. And then I talk about, you know, ways to prepare for it financially, putting extra money into a flexible spending account. I couponed for a full year before I had my surgery. So when I was out of work, I didn't have to buy nail drop or laundry detergent, dish liquid, no toilet tissue, no kind of household supplies, nothing.
Wow, so you really prepared.
I prepared because I knew what the implications of not preparing were. I almost lost everything I had in 2010 because I wasn't ready.
Right.
And but this surgery, I wanted to be able to focus on healing. It's hard to focus on healing when everybody you owe money to is calling you.
Indeed.
I wanted this to be...
it's hard to focus on anything when you owe folks money.
What you talking about? Like, look here, y'all, please stop calling me. I told you like 12 ways of Christmas. I ain't got it.
Right.
But yeah, so that book, the book focuses on what you need to do to get prepared for it.
Right.
And then afterwards is the last book in the series is I had a knee replacement. Now what to expect after knee replacement, because it's a long recovery. And I would be lying to you if I told you it wasn't painful. It's like, but this book really helps you get your mind in the right place so that you can focus on your physical therapy, and it talks about what to expect the day in the hospital, because they're gonna get you up and walk you on that knee that day. And you know, different things about what you're gonna start feeling emotionally around about week 4 or 5, when you ready to be back up on your feet and you ready to run, but your body said, oh no, because when you have knee replacement, they cut the base of your thigh bone off, the top of your shin bone off, and attach it, and there's, you know, your metal prosthesis in place. So now you got to heal skin, muscle, nerves, bone. That's a long recovery. But if you, in the book, I talk about focusing on your long-term goals. What is it why did you do this? What is it that you want? It's like, because that's what's gonna get you through those days when you be like, I don't even want to do this no more. And like, my knees swollen, this physical therapy hurt more than it's helping. It's like, but if you don't push through that phase, you end up with somebody who don't have good results. Because you know, I'm hiking now. But that's because I've had surgeries where I half did the PT, and I got the results of that too. But this one I went into it like, hey, we get ready to knock it out the park.
Now, you said you're hiking now, but this is not just recreational hiking. You have something that you do.
I do.
With hiking that's can be even a group situation.
It is.
Say more about that.
I have a hiking group called GPS to Joy Hiking and Meditation Experience.
GPS to Joy.
Yes. Gratitude, purpose, and service. You know, when I was coming up with a name for the group, I was like, I needed something that was, you know, something quick and something snappy, but something meaningful. Because, you know, you can put something together, but I wanted this to have some meaning. So, like, what is it that gives you true happiness in life? Not happiness, joy. Because there's a difference between the two. So what is it that gives you joy in your life. And that's a life of gratitude, being thankful for what your life looks like no matter what it shows up as.
Right.
And then purpose, living with purpose. You know, we have passions and purpose, all of us do. But sometimes we don't know what those are, and sometimes we're not operating in them. So if you're getting up every day and you're going to work, you're taking care of your family, but there is no purpose in that and there's no passion in it, then we wake up one day and we're 50 years old and we're not happy. Or we wake up one day and we get in the car and we drive away from our family and don't look back.
Right.
So that's what happens a lot of times when we just, you wake up one day and be like, hey, this is not what I had intended. It's like, so but if we operate with some purpose and some passion in our life, those things don't happen. And then service, got to give back. No matter what you're doing and no matter where you're at, on the quote unquote totem pole, we got to give back.
Factual.
Yep.
Factual.
I have it's a monthly hike.
Right.
I usually do a Facebook invite for it, and it's a very small, intimate group. And here's why: if you have a negative mindset, this might not be a group for you.
I know that's right.
Matter of fact, it ain't the group for you.
Simple as that.
Right.
That's right.
And then we do meditation. If you're not open to meditation, because I am Christian, but a lot of Christians are not
believe
open
in meditation,
and they have a belief surrounding it that is based on religion and what we've seen on television.
Right.
It's like, but I'm doing Christian meditation where we're talking about God and how resting in His arms and things of that nature. But I send out a Facebook invite. Generally what we do is, it started out with me just sending an invitation out to people that I knew. Well, honestly, when I was going hiking in the very beginning, my friends were like, hey Kim, I want to go. And I'm like, hey guys, I'm new at hiking. I can't take nobody hiking. And they were like, yes you can. So I started this group for beginners because I do have enough experience.
Right.
So this group is for beginners, and it's not necessarily about the exercise. It's about learning how to experience nature. How to reconnect with yourself and God through nature. So the first part of our hike is, we only do a hike a 1.5 to 2 miles on each hike. But the first part of it, we do it in silence, because I want you to focus on what do you see, what do you hear, what do you feel, and what do you smell? Do you taste anything? Because our sense of smell and taste are connected.
Indeed.
So the first part is like, we just wander through the woods and we walk and we listen, and people will come out of there with some profound, and then just realizations about themselves, about life. But then we spend a little bit of time journaling. And then I do a meditation where I do guided visualization, where I just take them on a journey. Sometimes we'll go to the beach. In January, it was supposed to be very nice on that side. We hike year round. It was cold that day though. So on that particular day, I took them, I set them at a campfire beside a warm fire. And I had them imagine the warmth on their hands and taking that ember from the fire and putting it inside their body. And whenever you feel cold, allow that ember to warm you up. And at the end, they were like, oh my God, Kim, we felt the heat from that fire.
Right.
It's like, because our brains are so powerful, but we don't use a fraction of it.
Not even a fraction.
Not even a fraction of it.
We use what we're taught to use.
What we're taught to
use. Or shall I say, what we're conditioned to use. So this is just allowing you to tap into that, into that space where we're not unaccustomed to being, and it allows you to feel and see some things. Because meditation, has so many great benefits. It creates clarity, and it helps you sleep better. It reduces pain, and so I started all of that for my pain management. But I'm like, wait, I feel different. Who is this person? So it has a whole lot of implications that we just don't even really think about until we wake up one day and we find ourselves in a place of joy. Because I made a decision at 25. I wanted to be happy, but over the years I was like, wait a minute, happiness, it ebbs and flows with emotions, because sad things happen, good things happen. I'm sad today and happy tomorrow. I'm having a good day today, and not in so much pain, so I'm happy. But tomorrow I'm in a lot of pain, so I'm sad. I was like, there's something deeper than this. But I learned that through meditation, that what I was seeking was joy. So that's why my business name is Joyful Living with Kimberly Dixon. Joyful Living with Kimberly Dixon.
My hiking group is GPS to Joy, hiking and meditation experience. And in the book I talk about the difference between finding your happiness and finding your joy.
Right.
It's like, because the joy, when tragedies happening in this world, of course it has an impact on me. But because I know I operate in joy, I know how to tap back into that.
Indeed.
Even when death occurs, death is a part of life, but it's a terrifying part of life for a lot of people. I'm not afraid to die. I've never been afraid of death. It's like, to me, it's sweet comfort. But when we operate in joy, it allows us to be able to process these things and not hold the grief in, and to be able to continue with life, not move on.
Right, but
continue with life. Because you'd be like, oh, you know, I have to, you know, this is my loved one. You shouldn't still be grieving anybody 20 years from now. You can still love them and still have a sacred place in your heart, but have some peace around it, regardless of how that death occurred.
That's powerful that you said that. That is so powerful. Tell me about your life coaching.
But life coaching is, I like to give this analogy.
Yeah.
So, you know, every sports team in America or in the world, they have a coach. Whether it's the little leagues to the pro basketball player, football, there's a coach. Coach don't ever get on the court. They don't get on the field unless they dispute a calling. Right. But they don't get on, they don't play.
Right.
But what they do is they help the team strategize so that they win. Life coach does the exact same thing. So when we're talking in our sessions, number one, we help you uncover what it is that you really want.
Right.
Because we ask you a series of questions. Sometimes they're hard questions, sometimes stuff that you really need to think about that you may not have thought about. Because a lot of times people can look at things from a different perspective. And we'll ask you the questions, and your answers to them, those are your answers to your life. Now, some people are ready for that, others are not. It's like, but once you have the answers to the questions that are leading you in your life, then you can make some decisions that are going to benefit you. They can either keep you where you're at right now, if you're happy there, or they can move you to the next level.
Wow. So you were telling me also, I heard that you were on a committee or a board?
I am on the Duke Patient Advisory Committee.
Okay, and what is that?
It is a committee of just community members that we help bridge the gap between hospital administration and patient care. So, because, you know, a lot of the things that happen as a patient, hospital administrators don't know anything about.
Indeed.
Because they're behind the business.
Indeed.
And, you know, or you know, the healing aspect. But there are lots of things that we can need as a patient that they just don't know about. Something as simple as the chairs in the waiting room, are they comfortable? It's like, because you think about it, if your family member is in surgery or they're in the emergency department and the chair is so uncomfortable that you can't sit in it, that is affecting your patient care.
Indeed, it's a part of it.
It's a part of it.
Yeah, most definitely.
So we help with things of that nature. We do rounding where we talk with patients. You know, what is it can we do to make your stay more comfortable? Because, you know, I spent quite a bit of time at Duke. That's where I had both of my knees replaced, and I had a revision surgery done there. So, you know, I have a great relationship with them, and want some of the administrative, well, you know, Calvin, I befriend everybody. So,
yes, ma'am.
Doing my stays there, I actually befriended some administrators, and I was like, I got something that you would be perfect for.
Okay.
It's like, because of my surgery experience, because of my experience with arthritis, because of my love for people, and my genuine desire to help people. It's like I've got something I would love for you to be a part of. And just this month, I've started working with the Patient Advisory Committee. I'm excited to see what that brings.
So tell me the name of your business company again.
My business is Joyful Living with Kimberly Dixon.
Joyful Living with, now, what does success look like for Joyful Living with Kimberly Dixon?
Success. To me, for me personally, my success looks like having a joyful, fulfilling, and a satisfying life. And what that means is I am taking time to savor the moment. That I'm working my business, but enjoying my business. Because I never want to get to the point where I'm just working, and I look up and I haven't enjoyed the moment. That's part of what hiking is about for me.
Right.
That ability to get outside and to live in each moment, and to be able to savor it, and to savor relationships, to be able to have a conversation with you that's meaningful. That's what success is to me. It's like I I have a love for people, and I want to be with people, and I want to have a positive impact. So for me, the long range of it is to have impact and influence in a positive way on my community, the people that I interact with, and ultimately the world.
That's beautiful. And this is not just cliche. That is actually a beautiful goal, most definitely.
Well, thank you.
So for everybody who needs to contact you, please give all of your social media,
okay,
any outlets that you can be contacted. And also if you have any book signings or anything coming up, if the next GPS to Joy trip, anybody that wants to be involved with that, how can they contact you?
Okay, that's a long list of stuff to go through.
It is, but I don't want anybody to miss you, because you know you're talking some good stuff along the line of things I like and believe in.
Okay.
So you know, I don't want anybody to miss that opportunity.
So let's start with the book signing first. April 14th.
Show that book again.
April the 14th at Authors and Art Studio.
Show the back of that book.
Oh yes. And the quote at the bottom is from Ernest L. Thomas from Malcolm X, Everybody Hates Chris, and What's Happening.
I know you're talking about.
So the book signing will be April the 14th at Authors and Art Studio in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's from 3:30 to 5:30. It is a free event, and it's open to the public, but I'm asking everyone to register on eventbrite.com because it's a small venue, and we want to make sure that we can accommodate everybody. So make sure you get registered. I also have an event at the end of the month on March the 30th. I think that might be the date. I might be wrong. Okay. For De-Stress the She, that is open to any woman. We have it as a nighttime event where we focus on relaxation and just letting go. And because every woman is the she-o of something in her life, so that is open for women. And then the ways to contact me. You can contact me on Facebook at Kimberly Dixon, or I have the Joyful Living Life Coach page. In addition to that, you can contact me on Instagram, and that's Joyful Kimberly Dixon. Everything has something to do with joy for me, guys. You just look for Joyful. And Twitter is also Joyful Kimberly Dixon. I am on YouTube as Joyful Living. My channel is geared towards chronic pain sufferers, but I also just offer little coaching tips to have a more joyful and fulfilling life. And you can email me at coach@joyfullivingwithkimberlydixon.com if you have questions about pain or just something you just want to talk with somebody about. I always will do that for free. I answer all my emails.
Oh, that's beautiful, sister.
And then my telephone number for my office line, y'all not getting my cell number.
That's right.
It's 919. Look, y'all can't be calling me all the time. Like,
you know we're gonna call you at
like, hey,
Kim.
Right, girl.
What you doing?
Right, we're not doing that one. But my office line is 919-977-3160.
Sister, I sincerely thank you for taking the time to come interview with me and drive Wild Black with me.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so humbled and appreciative to be on
Yes, and I'm most definitely going to have you up here because something tells me I'm going to have you up here again because something tells me this is not your last book.
It is not.
And I know for a fact this is not the last program, endeavor, anything that you're going to do. I know that it's going to be a longevity and you're committed to doing it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.